right. Sorry, everyone. My software wasn't working, so I had to switch. I kind of have to switch what I'm doing here. So I'm in the garage today, and I'm going to show you guys cross sections, and I'm going to do so using power tools because who doesn't love using power tools? But I'm a trained professional, so don't try this at home. Okay. So give me a second to get my camera set up to the proper height so I can actually do what I'm going to do today. And then we'll start talking about cross sections and what we're looking for. So give me one sec while I do that. We'll do this. Prop this guy up here. There we go. All right, that's a little better. And this light went out, of course. Perfect timing. Well, it works now. Okay, so now that's all figured out. All right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my streaming software. Something's a little wonky, but should be working now, and hopefully you guys can see me. So it looks like I got one person on. So, all right. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be using some 2x4s, okay? And we can look at 2x4s as a rectangular prism because that's what they are. They have a rectangular face, and they have rectangular edges, okay? Because again, with a prism, we're just taking the shape that's the base, and we're stretching that out, okay? So we have both ends of the 2x4 with the same face. Don't ask about my name. Okay, I won't. And good, I'm glad it works. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my saw, and I'm going to put cross sections through this 2x4, and we're going to talk about the different shapes it creates, okay? So one thing to take note of is that a rectangular prism is a six-sided figure, okay? So the number of faces that I have on a three-dimensional figure are going to determine how many sides a two-dimensional figure can have when I slice through it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slice this. I need to figure out a way to hold the prism. So if I'm holding it this way, this would be a vertical cut, and this would be a horizontal cut. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a vertical cut through this. So I'm going to use my saw here. Okay, got all my proper safety equipment, of course. All right. Using a reciprocating saw because it's the most flexible of the saws that I own anyway. And, my daughter's got her bike out, so I can't really be messing with that with the training wheels. I'm going to mess up, our setup over here. So, all right. So, again, this is my rectangular prism. Okay, and I'm holding it this way, I'm going to slice it vertically. Okay, so I'm going to slice through it going straight up and down this way through the face. Don't try this at home. I think I'm going to use my circular. There we go. All right. So I've just cut this piece. All right. And obviously, when you're cutting these shapes with a plane, it's not going to be as bad. A little dusty. All right. So you can see that I cut through it vertically. All right. And I actually end up getting, when I cut this piece, let me use a better saw this next time. Okay. We're not looking at what shapes are left over. We're looking at the face, the new figure that we've cut. So we're looking at the actual surface that we've cut in the three-dimensional figure. Okay. So when we're talking about what shape did we get, well, if you look at the original prism, okay, I cut through 4 different faces of the original prism. I cut through this top face, the side faces, and the bottom. So that being said, if I cut through a three-dimensional figure and I cut through 4 of the faces, then I should have 4 edges on my new 2-dimensional shape. And right here we have a rectangle. Okay. So when you cut perfectly vertical or perfectly horizontal, okay, you're gonna get the same shape that is on either end of your cut. Okay. So in this case, since I cut down the middle, let me get my marker out here. Didn't expect to be in the shop today. So, all right. So again, when we refer to what shape we're cutting with our cross section, we're referring to, maybe I should have just let this light be. This is a little bright, sorry. See if that helps a little bit. There we go. Okay, now you can see the orange there. So again, this is the face that we're referring to when we're talking about the cross section. Okay, so that's important to note for your quiz is, what shapes are you able to identify from the cut? I have a lot of students that are making mistakes and saying, oh, well, you know, this is the shape that is the cross section, but this isn't what I cut. This right here, the cut edge, is the one that I'm trying to identify. Okay, so let's talk about if you were to go through, and again, I still have a rectangular prism. This is just going to get smaller and smaller. Okay, so let's say I wanted to cut a triangle. So based on what I told you earlier and what we talked about in class, you have to think about how many faces of this shape would you have to cut through to get a triangle. And again, for every face you cut through, that's now the side of a two-dimensional figure. Okay, so if I want to get a triangle that has three sides, I have to cut through three faces. Okay, so if I were to, it's getting a little foggy. So if I were to cut through, when we're talking about triangles, I always think about a corner. Okay, because if I cut here, and I cut through here, and I cut through here, I'm cutting out. So I just drew this on three different faces. Okay, and I'll try to angle this down so the lighting's a little better. Okay, so if I'm going to make a cut, okay, I need to cut through three different faces of the rectangular prism. So here's the top face, here's the side, and here's the front. Okay, so if I cut this off, then I should end up getting a triangle. So I'm going to cut that really quick, and we'll take a look at it. So got to do that off screen. One sec. All right, so I'm going to go to my circular saw here. It's a little easier to manage. Where did it go? Stand by. I'm here still, I swear. So all I did in this one was I made sure that I was cutting through three faces. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. All right, and I cut along those lines that we drew as best as I could. So I'm going to color this one in here. Okay, and you'll see that the shape that I get by cutting through three faces is a three-sided figure known as a triangle. Okay, so to get the shape that I want, I have to cut through that many faces. So if I want a triangle, I have to cut through three different faces of the solid shape. If I want to create a rectangle or a square, then I have to cut through 4. Okay, so that has 5 faces. We should be able to get a 5-sided figure, which would be a pentagon. Okay, and then if in this case we have a 6-sided figure, okay, because we have a 6-face figure, we have a rectangular prism. Okay, so that means I could get a 6-sided two-dimensional shape, which would be a hexagon. So if I were to cut through this at the right angle, I would be able to get that hexagon. Sometimes they don't look very nice, but you can do it. I would do it with a block of wood, but I don't have a saw blade that's going to cut through this at the right angle, safely anyway, to get us the hexagon that we're looking for. So in this case, we can't really do that. So, well, cool. I'm glad that it works on an Xbox. That's good news. So this was kind of what I wanted to talk about here, but I'm going to actually switch over to my other software, and hopefully it works. So I'm going to be using the digital version where I can manipulate with a rectangular prism, with a cube, and with a square pyramid. So I am going to stop the stream for a moment, but I'm going to head back up to my other computer where I can show that, and we can talk about that as well, and then I can answer some questions. So hopefully it makes sense what we're looking for. We're looking for the part we cut. This is the cross section. This is the shape that we make from the cross section is what we're trying to identify. And again, the main bullet point from this one is, if I want a 4-sided figure, I have to cut through 4 faces of the object. If I wanted a 3-sided figure, I have to cut through 3 faces, and so on and so forth. So, all right, I'm going to change over. Hang tight. I'll be back live in about, I don't know, hopefully less than 5 minutes, and I'll be on as long as I need to. I know I'm a little delayed tonight, so thanks for sticking with me.